Welcome back to Pastor Plex Podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Plex, and I've got none other than Jake Ridley of Ridley Wealth Financial Management with me today. And also, you may not know this, he is a member of the board of the Association of Hill Country Church.
That's right. Friend of the show.
That's right. Like, this is a big deal. So to have a board member here who loves God, loves people, and wants to see more churches planted. So I'm going to have to ask about that first, because we have a lot of, Association of Hill Country Church members out there in our listening audience.
Absolutely.
Just begging for more information on what's going on in the association. So what can you tell us the latest and greatest for association world?
Well, first, I'm just getting my feet under me.
Yeah.
I've been there 4 or 5 months now, and love serving on the board. I just became the treasurer.
Okay.
So really exciting stuff happening at the board, at the association. But yeah, loving it. Love church planting. Saw firsthand the impact of
You were
of
an
church
elder
planting
at the well.
At the well, yep.
That's so great.
And so love being a part of that and continuing that and helping with that and facilitating that. Yeah.
All right. So let's get into, just for a sec, Ridley Wealth Management. Tell me, what got you to a place where you are, because you used to do our books.
That's right.
If you didn't know this, listening audience, Jake Ridley managed the books of Wells Branch Community Church at one time until he fired us.
We cut checks for goats and motorcycles.
Listen, we had the largest goat farm in all of East Africa, and that was a bit much, I think, for any normal bookkeeping.
That's where we drew the line.
Yeah, you're like, we're not
checks for goats and motorcycles.
Yeah.
That's when it said.
Yeah, but that fueled church planting and beyond, which is wild. Anyway, all right. So after you fired us, you stayed on with Church Biz, and then tell me what happened.
Yeah. So I got my CFP, Certified Financial Planner.
How hard is it to get a CFP?
I mean, it's so hard. It's super hard. No, it's not that bad. It requires a good bit of studying.
Is there different levels? Is there level 1 CFP? Or
well, there's classes. So there's 6 classes, I think, that you have to take.
Yeah.
And then you have to pass an exam. And then you've got to have
Is it
2
all
years
online?
of experience. No, I actually did half of it at UT.
Oh, wow.
And then half of it online just to kind of speed it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, then you have to have 2 to 3 years of experience.
So what do they
count? Like CPA?
What do they count as experience?
Doing actual personal financial planning.
Okay.
With individuals.
So do you have to have a mentor or a supervisor that works with
So
you?
you go off on your own and you do it for 3 years. And then if you're working under another CFP, I think it's 2, or that's the way it was when I was.
So let's say, I know this seems like a random thing, but I have a lot of people who fancy themselves as financial gurus. So
Speaking about yourself.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm just going to work on. No, hypothetically, no. How long? So about 3 years from zero to financial planning?
It was 3 years from I hadn't taken a class to I got my CFP.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So obviously you've been a Christian this whole time, but when you went, hey, I'm doing bookkeeping, I want to have my own wealth management. Is that kind of everybody's dream in bookkeeping, to kind of I'm gonna be my own?
I don't think so. It's kind of a different. So bookkeeping is more like CPA, like accounting work, and so it's not really a.
You're not talking stocks and
no,
that kind of stuff.
A little bit, just because
estate planning.
Pastors see you working with money and they think you have all the money, the only person they can go to.
Yeah, please, I don't
ask
know
that kind of stuff. But I'd always wanted to get into personal finance. I just didn't know, how to.
Right.
And so it was a desire of mine for sure, though.
Okay, so but you were like, we're gonna make this thing all about faith, and how was there an example of that you saw that you're like, or was there a non-example of that?
So
you're there has to be someone else other than Dave Ramsey out there. Was that
totally? Well, Ron Blue was the Dave Ramsey before Dave Ramsey.
Okay,
he's a Christian finance guy,
right?
And so I've been doing it for the last 9, almost 10 years, and wasn't working with a faith-centered company, which wasn't bad. It just wasn't explicitly Christian.
Right.
But the more I did it, and the more I worked with Christians, the more I just became convinced you can't really do this without bringing and integrating faith into the financial planning process.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a reason the Bible talks about money, so much, because it has unique temptation, unique just weight that you feel and that you have when you're managing money. And so that's where I started my own firm, was to incorporate faith into the whole wealth management, process.
Okay. So then you were talking earlier about this, so I really want to kind of go into it. You were sharing that most people give more at the end of their life than they did their entire natural giving life.
So you could put your church or charity in your will, or even as a beneficiary designation, which is fine and great. But the studies show that the gift that you make when you die, meaning it's left to the church or left to charity, is 10 to 100 times larger than what people gave when they were alive, like their annual gift. And so what that means is most people are waiting until they die to be charitable, be generous, right? Which we were talking earlier is, to me, is sad, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that, because get me behind the mindset of that person.
Yeah.
It seems like they're not being very faithful, full of faith.
Totally. I think they're scared. JP Morgan did a study. They do a study every year, and it shows the spending of retirees, and every other expense, travel, eating out, everything decreases the closer you get to the end of your life.
Oh, wow.
But there are two expenses that increase. One is healthcare. That one's pretty obvious. And then the other one is charitable giving. And so I take that to say people wait until they finally are convinced they're not going to run out of money, right? And then they're generous. And so there's some that wait until the end of their life, right? And it gets given through their will, beneficiary designations. But most people are scared of running out of money, no matter how much money you have. Most people are scared to run out of money.
Okay, so it's essentially, I'm thinking of, I don't know, is it Luke 12, the parable of the rich fool?
Yeah.
I know what I'll do. I'll build bigger barns. You fool. You don't know what...
Yeah.
Someone else is going to get all the stuff that you saved up.
Yeah, totally.
And so if this is literally like that, but at least they planned for it.
So so that same study, it's kind of ironic. So the same study says that, hey, when people put a church or a charity in their will, that their actual current giving doubles. And so it's because they hadn't thought about it, right? So they start thinking about it, and they become more intentional with it. So it's kind of ironic that the way that you can increase your giving is by putting a church or whoever in your will, and it kind of gets it front of mind.
Okay, that's hold on. I think you almost need to say that again. That's wild. So, for example, let's say the church did hey, we will pay for everybody here to have you do your estate planning.
Yeah.
Just the mere act of that, they're like, I never actually
dollar signs.
Yeah, you're like, this is you're going to actually have people probably that have never given, just because they're looking at it, and you probably ask the question, okay, so how much do you want to leave to your church? And they would be like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about it. Is that kind of how that goes?
Yeah, most people don't even know, or a lot of people don't even know that you can do that.
Yeah.
And so when they do that, it gets them thinking about, oh shoot, I'm reminded to give to Wells Branch Church, or whatever church.
So tell me about this then. This is just me just being unbelievably nosy into all your clients' lives. But what is about what percentage are most of the people, and maybe you might be dealing with faith-filled people that love Jesus all the way, but what percentage do most people give that you sort of run into?
Most are around 10%.
Okay, that's awesome.
I work with, but the stats, you probably know the stats.
Yeah, they're like 3.
It's like a quarter of people that give tithe. Right. And so that's the minority. It's probably 50 to 60% of members give anything.
Right.
And then, a minority of those, 20 to 30% actually tithe.
Yeah. I think what's really encouraging to me is that you're dealing with, you're a faith, I don't know, faith-based, is that way to put it? Faith-based wealth management. And so implicit or within that is people are going to have some sort of charitable understanding that they're already involved with. So that's, as a pastor, that's super encouraging.
Totally.
That like, hey, people are doing this. Because I think sometimes as a pastor, all I hear is like, most of your church probably gives like 2%. And so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I think actually people are being super generous. And
I think that's a misconception that most Christians are greedy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you listen to...
It drives me crazy when people talk about like the worst place to be a server is somewhere near a church. I'm like, no way. I'll bet you the most generous whatever.
I think that's why people don't talk about it.
Right.
Is because like, that's why it's so hard to get people to talk about it, is because there's just this whole guilt, around money, and money is bad.
Right.
And it's bad to have it. And you're probably not being generous. Right. Because...
So you should feel guilty all the time.
So you should feel guilty all the time. And really giving is just a means to like satisfy your guilt. It's not really done in joy. And joy.
Okay. Right. So talk to me. How do you, I'm sure you've had to run across somebody who like, I love Jesus. Yes, I do. Hey, come do my wealth management. And you go, it looks like what would the conversation look like?
Yeah, it starts with, it's like any other relationship. Like, you don't start out of the gate with like, our first conversation is, hey, you're not giving anything.
Right.
Like it looks like, I see your tax return.
Right.
And so it doesn't really happen like that. It just happens over time, like any other relationship.
Yeah.
And it can even start with, you bring up, some type of, tax advantaged way to give, some technique. And so that opens the door to talk about it. But I don't know, it just kind of comes naturally. And that's part of why I started my firm, is those are the types of clients that I like to work with, are not the ones that I'm having to twist their arm to give. It's just they naturally want to.
Is there anybody that you have to like, hey, listen, I love the fact that you love your church or this organization, but I know we believe in Jesus and I'm all for that, but it looks like you're going to run out of money here. Like, has there ever been a time where you've had to do that with somebody?
Yeah. Not because of giving.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had conversations.
It's not because of giving. It's because of like, hey, you're eating out every day.
Yeah, totally. They'll be spending too much money or that's usually it. Like they're just spending more money.
What do usually people spend too much money on? Retirees.
I'm just thinking of one couple. So it doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
So it's usually the other way around. That's another kind of myth.
Oh, okay.
Is that, most people don't, I've never seen anybody run out of money in retirement.
Oh, that's wild.
Most people.
Well, this could be you just, not giving yourself enough credit. Like it could be because you're their financial advisor.
That's probably the reason. Let's be honest.
if like I've never had a client run out of money.
That is my job, is to help that. But even like studies, like nobody really ever runs out. I'd say that. I'm sure, and there are people that run out of money, right? But most people that I work with and most of the studies that I see, like most people underspend. Like most people will spend like 2% of their portfolio a year, like if left to themselves.
Oh, wow.
And, it's rough rule of thumb is like 4% to 6%. And so that's double to triple of what you could.
So most people are like, hey, I saved this money up for my retirement. And then they're like,
I can't spend it.
I can't spend it because what if I run out?
What if I run out? Yeah. So you've developed that muscle your whole life of
save. And now you don't have to develop a spend.
So yeah, you don't have a muscle to spend, right?
That is crazy.
Develop that. And so that's honestly what I spend a lot of my time
convincing people to go spend money.
Hey, you can spend money. Like go out and like I spoke with a couple last week. It was like he really wants a Ford Bronco. And they have the means to pay cash and buy a Ford Bronco, and it doesn't do anything to their plan. But they grew up very frugal and just can't do it. And so I was like, well, just go to Turo and like rent a Bronco and see if you like a Bronco. Like just try to move the needle a little bit to, spend some of the money that you have, because you have plenty of money. And so that's usually the way the conversations go is most people don't realize how well off they are. Yeah. They don't realize how much they can spend.
So I know this is probably way down the line, but like and I'm sure you get asked this all the time. How much do I need to save? Like what's the magic number? And obviously it's different on what's your standard of living and what's the whatever. But like, what's your general rule of thumb?
So I actually built a calculator for this.
Is this on like a website?
It's on my website. Yeah. So another thing that's just kind of counterintuitive is so you don't need to replace 100% of your paycheck in retirement.
Okay.
Like you're making $100,000 a year.
Okay.
You're not going to need to replace 100,000 of it.
Why is that? Like, give me
your mortgage goes away. You're used to saving 10 to 20%. Well, you don't have to save anymore because you're in retirement. Your kids are hopefully out of the house. Right. So most of your expenses, or a lot of your expenses, go down.
Of course.
And so, and then the more money you make, the less and less that percentage, or the lower that percentage goes. So it's like, don't quote me, but $100,000, it's like, I don't know, 70% replacement. So you really need $70,000 a year. But when you get up to like, $500,000 a year, you really only need about 50% of that. So $250,000 a year. And the portfolio doesn't need to replace all of that.
Right.
And so, because you got Social Security, you've got a lot of people still have some type of pension. And so it really just depends on what your income is.
Yeah, really that transition of losing a mortgage, that's probably pretty huge.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's, 10% to 15% usually of your income. 10 to 15 to 20% again in savings that is not there anymore. Again, kids are out. So it's hard to say what the actual number is. Most people if you're making 100 to, it's going to be in the million to, $5 million range. If you're talking, you need $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
And so it really just depends, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's get into some, like, where have you seen trends? Like, if you look at American trend, like spending, where are people spending money?
So, travel is a big one.
So, is that a new I guess, is this like post-pandemic?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I would think so, just because anecdotally, like, I feel like our generation,
I feel like everybody is traveling more than they've ever traveled.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Or is that I'm at a certain age now where people just travel more because that's what they've always done?
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what it is, but I mean, we have to travel more than, say, our grandparents did.
Right.
Like, I feel like I don't need to study to
figure that out.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, most people in retirement, and they're going to travel. They're going to go see their grandkids. They're going to travel, to Europe or whatever. That's really, I guess, the big one that is different between now and 50 years ago or whatever.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna change gears. All
right.
Let's talk about pastors. I always love talking about this. I think I came at the tail end, and I really wanted to be there, but I had another thing. But anyway, it was when you were talking about, pastors and how complicated our income is, just because of it's complicated, and guys that opt out of Social Security and like don't do that. So tell me, can we go over that again? Because I think that's one of those things that you can never go over enough for me. Okay. All right. So give me the scoop on, so for pastors who opt out of Social Security because their conscience won't let them do that or whatever.
Right.
Which they don't know that they had a conscience about that. But
totally.
So talk to me about like just the reality there.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, so to opt out of Social Security, the form says you've got to be basically a conscientious objector. Right. I haven't met any pastor, like that's for like the Amish. Right. Like, that's really what that was made for. But because it's a social insurance, is what Social Security is. Right. And so if your conscience objects to social insurance, then that's the only reason you can opt out of Social Security. Not because you think it's not run well, or not it's because you don't want to pay for whatever. Similar to the way the Amish don't have insurance. They barn burns down. They
go build another one.
They go build another one with the community, right? The community is their insurance. So that's the idea behind it. But I don't know, probably half of the pastors that I've met with have opted out. Well, I think we were just told that's just what you do. I was like, all right. Yeah, usually it's like an elder or someone that is well-meaning, but doesn't understand the ramifications of like you've opted out.
So now what does that mean?
So that means you don't get Social Security, except for some important caveats. I was going to say loopholes, but caveats.
Okay. Way better. Way more ethical to say a caveat versus a loophole.
So yeah, it means you don't get Social Security on your pastoral earnings. So if you never have another job besides being a pastor, and you've opted out, then you will not get Social Security.
Right.
But the two caveats are most pastors have some type of secular, like I know you have, some secular Social Security earnings.
Yeah.
And so those don't go away. You still get those. So it'll be in a reduced amount.
Yeah.
But then another important caveat is if your spouse is qualified for Social Security and you haven't ever paid a dime in, you opted out, you've never paid a dime in, you still get half of your spouse's Social Security.
Oh, wow.
So if your spouse gets $4,000 a month, you're entitled to an additional $2,000.
Whoa.
So $6,000.
How is that even possible? So, okay, this is all right. So let's say my spouse has a job and she makes whatever. And at the end of it, she gets $4,000.
Yeah.
On top of the $4,000, I get $2,000.
That's called the spousal benefit. Yeah.
Do you have to apply for that?
You do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would probably never know that.
You have to apply for it. You have to apply for it after your spouse applies. Then you're free to apply for your spousal benefit. And it's 50% of...
That's wild.
So yeah, it's a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think that it's, when you say half, that means that your spouse would get $4,000 and that cuts their benefit in half to $2,000 and you get the other $2,000, but that's not what that means.
All right, so let's get beyond the ethical issue of conscious objector.
If you objected to, but you don't object to getting it from your spouse, I don't know how you square that.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, but all right, so but beyond that, but you would probably say that if you had control of your own money, you would make way more money investing it as opposed to trusting the government.
Totally.
Right.
But it's not, the way I see it, it's not an investment, it's insurance.
Right.
And so it's in the name.
That is helpful.
Right? The Social Security and Disability Insurance.
Is that what it's called? I
think so.
I mean, that makes sense.
I have to cut this out.
Yeah.
But,
no. I mean, but like
SSDI insurance is somewhere in the
that's wild.
In the name.
I mean, if you were to ask me what is Social Security, I'd be like, it's your retirement, and it's not. It's insurance.
Yeah. It's
if you get disabled or something happens,
or if you can't provide for yourself.
Right.
After you can't work anymore. That's the entire point of it. That's why it was started. That's why it wasn't meant to be a replacement or even a retirement supplement.
Right.
It was to make sure that you didn't run out of money when you can't work anymore. And so it's obviously turned into more than that.
That's interesting.
But yeah, so that's why I don't see it as an investment because it's not. It's insurance.
Right.
So
okay. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And can you collect Social Security before you actually retire? You know what I mean? Like, let's say you're still working, but you're 70.
It'll get reduced. So yeah, if you file and then you just keep working, it gets reduced by there's a percentage if you make over.
Because it seems like,
because it can get reduced to zero if you just file just to get money from Social Security and then you just go back to work.
Right.
Right. Then they're like, yeah, you can't really do that.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Man, that's a lot to...
Right.
What happens if you were a conscientious objector, but then you decide not to be a conscientious objector?
There's not a lot you can do.
Oh, so once a conscientious objector, always a conscientious objector.
So yeah, there's been a couple bills proposed to allow pastors back into Social Security, but as far as I know, none of those.
I may or may not have been a person that just said, "Oh, okay, check here. Sounds good." I didn't really.
Yeah, no. The way it usually happens is you're 25. Someone at your board is like, "Hey, you check this thing, and you don't have to pay tax."
And you're like,
right. "I need the money," and so you check it, and then you don't pay Social Security, and then you forget. This is what I see.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot, but frequently is you forget or don't contribute to retirement,
right?
And so you're really behind the 8 ball there.
Yeah.
So.
Thankfully, I just took it from one and put it straight to the next.
Yeah.
So it was good. Anyway. All right. That's good to know.
Yeah. There we go.
All right. So let's get into some temptation that high achievers get to. Let's talk about your high achievers. The temptation is what?
Oh man.
So you would say, because earlier you were saying it would have been just like to hoard it and like to not spend anything. So it's...
Yeah. So
Or
it depends on the phase. I mean, the high achievers, like before retirement, they're so busy, that like you get this. In my experience, the ones that are high income, high achievers, like they're doing really well at what they do. They're so busy doing that thing that they really don't have time or desire. Like they're not greedy, I guess is what I'm getting at, where it's just like, I want more. It's like, they're just really good at the thing that they do. And that takes up all their time because the people that are paying them to do it want that time because they're good at it, right? And so they just don't have time to focus on it. And so I don't know if that's a temptation, but I would say that's
they don't have time to focus on it. I get that makes sense. I mean, but isn't that why you kind of hire a wealth manager?
Yeah. So this is one big infomercial for,
all right, go ahead. Yeah,
for me.
Hold on.
Great question, Chris.
Here. You are it. All right. So tell me, like, that's the problem, right? They don't ever think about it. And so you need to pay somebody to think about it. And so talk to me why.
Totally. So, but on the temptation piece, they'll neglect the generosity piece too. Rather than being intentional with their generosity, they'll still give because they know they have to or are supposed to, right? And they feel the weight of having the wealth that they have. Like I can think of a doctor client that I worked with, and he literally would break down in tears when he would talk about stewarding what God had given him. Like he felt the weight of that. And so, but I would say just being intentional with their generosity, like, what are the things that the Spirit's led you, like that you're passionate about, that you're convicted of, and what to say yes to, which also gives you permission to say no to things, because that's kind of another unspoken, burden, I guess, of the wealthy is like the people at charities know that they're wealthy, so they get hit up more than the average person, right? And so it's hard to say no to charities when they ask, right? And so I guess to your question, like being intentional about their giving, just because from a time standpoint they haven't thought about it, and really being intentional about where it's going, experiencing the joy that I think that God wants us to have, by aligning our money with our passions and convictions. So that's kind of a,
no, that's good.
roundabout answer to your question.
At what point does someone need to call you? Like, I'm just thinking, like, if I were to come to you, I'd be like, listen, I don't really have enough for you to really.
There's got to be
what's the number? Is there a number? Like,
yeah, probably. So it's when the complexity like warrants, like there's enough stuff there for me to do something with it, right, to help.
So, is that like $1 million?
So from an investment standpoint, it's like $1 million and above. But then there's some people that have high incomes that don't have that yet. So I would say 300,000 and above is when the complexity goes up.
Right.
Just whether you like it or not, like the more money you make, the more complex things get.
Are you dealing with stuff like, hey, let me tell you how you can get the most out of your money? Like here's the tax caveat for you to experience.
Yeah, there's some of that. So there's some of that. A lot of it really is just being intentional about like, okay, so the people that are the high income people, for example, they're making $500,000 a year. Again, they're really good at the thing that they do, so they don't have a lot of time to focus on it. And usually if you're making that level of income, you're not getting it on a biweekly check. Right. It comes in lumps,
Right. You get $150,000. And for example, our church, we just got I don't know who it is. We don't know who gives what, but somebody just gave $150,000. And it's like, where did that come from?
Totally.
And then next week it's like nothing, but like, or
so just
months.
Helping them be intentional with that. Like they have a big cash event.
Yeah.
They've got a couple $100,000. Well, what do we do with this? Like we make sure our emergency fund's funded. Like you have a tax bill that's coming up. Like we don't want to spend that. You need to remodel your home, any generosity goals that you have. And then what's left over is, okay, we'll look at investing this.
Yes.
And so a lot of it is just that, like helping people stay on top
Mm-hmm.
of that. I mean, yeah, there's some, advanced planning maneuvers that we do. But a lot of it is just kind of helping people stay intentional, like helping them define what their goals are.
Like, what are people's normal, like, I know this sounds like a weird one, is like, what are the goals people should have? Like college, or like, what are the things that you kind of help people?
Yeah, college, buying a home, funding retirement, buying a car, a vacation home, like those sorts of things. All the way to, when you get in retirement and, you've now got the wealth to be able to help your kids, like helping your kids with a down payment on a house. A big one is grandkids education. Like that's a big, like they'll help fund what's called a 529 plan, so a college funding plan. So that's one of the favorite things that grandparents do is they'll
contribute the 529
and maybe even fully fund a kid's college,
which is wild, which is exciting. Going to like, have you seen people? What I thought was really interesting is that you haven't seen people overspend.
Not usually.
And to be fair, if they're coming to you, they probably have that under control. But is there ever a time where you have like the spender and the saver and
like one spouse is usually like on top of it.
So
frugal.
I was like, 'cause that to me was like, what? This is crazy. Like nobody's overspending. Like what?
Yeah. No, I mean, I won't say nobody's overspending, but most people fundamentally are worried about running out of money or security.
Okay.
Right. And so, even the spenders, like when you get to the point, usually where you're working with me, like at least until, at retirement, like I won't say it's hard to spend, but most people I have to, again, coach them to
you have to coach them to
spend can spend more. And not just you can spend more, like you can be more generous.
Right.
Like why wait until the end of your life?
Yeah, I love that. So let's kind of get into that just a little bit more. Like, what do you mean by that? Because like someone would say like, well, I don't want to run out, and you never know what could happen. Because I think if my mom's listening, I think that she would be in this category. Like, I think the church is awesome, man. Love the church, and you guys should have all the money when I pass away. But for right now, like I don't know if I'm gonna have a major some sort of something, and I'm living in a little bit of fear of that.
I think that's where a plan comes in. Again, this is the infomercial part of this. But I mean, if you don't have a plan, it's kind of, you probably should be scared because you just don't know. You're flying blind, right? And so, but assuming you have a plan and it shows you like you got a lot of margin for error here, then that's when you can move into like, okay, well, how much margin of error do I have?
Right.
And that's where you get into the like, okay, this is a heart thing where you're scared, you're looking for security, and the problem is there's not secure, like you're never going to be out of the woods. Like there's never a period in your life where you're out of the woods, right? If the market's up, it's up too much, right? And we're about to correct.
Right.
If it's down, well, that's self-explanatory, like people are scared, right? So there's never a time where you're out of the woods. And so people are looking for that, like, well, when I get out of the woods, then I'll spend more, give more.
Okay, let me ask you this because you just brought something up really important. What's the big stock you're picking right now?
I'm legally obligated to not answer that question.
I think I
plead the fifth.
Yeah. So, okay, what about this? At our church specifically, I think we have a lot of people going this route of crypto. Give me your thoughts.
Okay.
Give me your thoughts on crypto.
So,
give me the, like, are you don't do it, or are you like, let's go crypto?
So, I'm not a fan of crypto. My problem with it is it doesn't generate any cash.
Okay.
Right? So
it's like a stock in a way.
Well, stocks generate cash. Stocks are a portion of a company that you own.
Okay, fair enough. You're right.
That have a product that people buy that generate cash. And so therefore you can, I mean, the conversation we're having right now is, are stocks overvalued?
Right.
Well, the only way you even have that conversation is they generate cash.
Right.
If there's no cash, you never know if anything's overvalued or not.
Yeah.
And so crypto, is it a good store of value? Like store of value means like our dollar.
Right.
We lose our minds, right, at inflation when it's at 5%.
Right.
That means your dollar has lost 5%
right.
of its value. Bitcoin is up 20% in a day or down 20% in a day, right? And so it's not a good store of value. Like my Bitcoin that I have, or my fraction of the Bitcoin that I have today, I have no idea what it's going to be worth. It will be worth something different between when I leave my house to when I try to go purchase something with it, right?
Okay. So that means, listen, it's a great in theory that we're all going to be walking around with Bitcoining people, but you might Bitcoin and you thought you had enough to pay for it. Actually, now you only have half because it just dropped 20%.
Drove to the store. Yeah. And so it's a speculative asset, meaning like, again, there's no cash flow on it. So the only way, and I'm sure maybe this will be where you get some comments.
Well, yeah, I'm going to get a ton of comments here because the people are like, this is the...
Well, no, the problem is we lost everybody when we started talking pastor finances. So if we would have led with crypto, like we would have...
All right, so let's get into crypto. Like, I feel like this is the thing where like the people that are in crypto, they would say like, listen, it's like guaranteed over time. This is going to the people that jumped on the XRP bandwagon early are like, what's up?
So right now they're right. Like the Bitcoin people are up 1,000%. Right. And so it's hard to argue with that. And so that's why like some advisors hold some in their portfolios just because it's gone up so much. Like I don't. And again, I have to say, like, this is not me making a recommendation for Bitcoin or not. But I don't, just because of what I just said. It doesn't really, I don't know what purpose it serves in my portfolio.
Okay. So, but what people would say, hey, the thing that's nice about, Bitcoins, you can't, or any crypto, is it's not influenced by governments trying to inflate their currency so that they can print more money. You can't print more money, so to speak, right?
Yeah,
is that true, or am I just like, this is the part where I'm more of a crypto novice?
Well, so yes, I'm not a crypto expert either. From what I've heard, like countries like Iran are using crypto to get around the financial system, right? And so it's really like a way to try to get around
because all that other money can be tracked, whereas this is sort of more hidden.
So again, don't quote me on that. You can cut this out if your fact checkers decide that this is, because I know you got a hefty fact checker team.
Yeah, I do. The whole team back there is busy working. They're like, they got Grok and ChatGPT working really extra hard right now to fact check you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know. So, but let's say, so do you have any?
I don't own. Well, okay.
Come on, this full transparency here. What do we got?
So I say I don't own any crypto. At one point, someone gave me crypto for doing premarital counseling. It was not one Bitcoin. It was like one millionth of a Bitcoin or something like that. So this was like 7 years ago, and it was on a piece of paper. And so I was like, oh, this is a digital currency. I don't need the piece of paper. It's somewhere like in the internet somewhere. And so I lost the piece of paper, and I don't know what I did with the piece of paper, and I don't have any Bitcoin. So, so yeah. So I thought like, is a digital currency, like it's on the internet somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I guess, that's funny.
Yeah. So I guess I do somewhere, maybe in my house. But
yeah. I mean, they'd have to put it in your name, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about life for you with ministry looks like. Give me your ministry with the neighborhood, ministry at church. Where or is your role in your as a wealth management person. Tell me about what ministry looks like for you.
Yeah, totally. So we go to Hill Country Bible Church, Lakeline. I think it's called Lakeline.
Austin.
Still.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hill Country, Austin. Hill Country Bible Church, Austin.
And Tim Cool's pastor in there.
Tim Cool's pastor. Love Tim. And we have a small group that meets in our neighborhood. And we have some people that go to Hill Country, some people that don't. I'm kind of a rogue small group leader, where half of us are at Hill Country and half of them aren't. Not that everybody has to be going to the church to go to small group.
Right.
But yeah, so lead a small group. We go to Brushy Creek Sports with your kids.
Yep,
and
it's so fun.
And see you there. Try to be a good neighbor, just as far as like, sadly, one of our neighbors just passed away last week. Was pretty disconnected from, like, kept to themselves, so we've, been taking them things and praying for them and that sort of thing. And so, I don't know, it's really just natural. Like, there's not an official Jake and Lauren Ridley like ministry plan. It's just like, we've got a dog that requires us to walk. She's a Springer Spaniel, and we walk her like 4 times a day because she has a ton of energy.
Yeah.
We meet people when we walk our dog, and like there's at least one person, maybe several in our small group that are there because we were walking our dog and invite them to a small group.
Hey, how does that work? So you walking your dog and give me your pitch. Hey.
I showed them the bridge diagram.
Well, literally, I was at the HEB. Did you go to the HEB on 620? Right there. So I go to the HEB, and this guy in the parking lot goes, hey. I go, hey. He goes, do you want to come to my Bible study? I was like, no, but thanks for the offer. I mean, that's awesome. Yeah. So is that your technique?
So yeah, I'm not that blunt and bold, but no, we just kept seeing the same people walking, and we just get to talking with them. And, I think one of them was going through something in their life, maybe a divorce. And so we invited her to the small group, and she started coming. And so, I don't know, it's just kind of natural like that.
Yeah, that's good. All right. And so, where do your kids go to school?
They go to Fern Bluff.
Okay.
Well, so actually, my daughter goes to Chisholm. Will your kids go to Chisholm?
No, they go to Cedar Valley.
Okay.
So my oldest goes to Cedar Valley.
Okay.
And you have one at Chisholm.
Yep.
Chisholm, that's wild because Cedar Valley is north of Chisholm, right?
Chisholm is off of Deep. It's south.
Yeah. It's south. So because it's north.
It's closer. Cedar Valley is closer to us. We're just zoned.
That always blows my mind. I don't understand the zoning.
Yeah.
So you went public school.
Yeah.
Tell me why not homeschool?
It's a money thing. So no, we love our neighborhood. We love our community. Fern Bluff is a wonderful elementary school. We love Chisholm. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, most of it was just, we feel called to the community that we're in, and our kids are thriving at the schools. If they weren't, then we would consider, a different, school, but their friends are great. Yeah. Like they have a great friend group.
Which I think that's where we feel the same way about the public school. We're just really, as much as one can be excited about public school, we are definitely on the excited team. I know not all public school is that. The only reason I ask that is because that, as probably in wealth management, you probably have a choice to go to like private school if you want to, but you're like, oh, I'm gonna be involved in the community. And we're gonna go do this.
Yeah, totally.
Which I think is awesome. All right, next question. You ready for this one?
Fire.
Controversial. Halloween. What are you guys doing?
Well, we have a big party on Halloween with all our neighbors, and our small group will be there, and we have chili and hot dogs.
Oh, I love it.
I feel like this is probably a once in a lifetime Halloween for the kids this year on a Friday. Yeah. After Friday evening. Yeah. Like, I don't think it gets any better than that.
It's so great.
What about y'all?
We're having a party, front yard party, and Adrian invited all the neighbors. It was kind of fun. And so we're kind of gonna, because there's a lot of, criticism for those of us who I will never say I'm celebrating Halloween. I am just having a party when Halloween's going on.
Yeah, I was going to ask. So did you celebrate Halloween growing up?
Oh, yeah.
Or did you participate in
it? Oh, absolutely. I did. Okay. I was all about it. I got as much, I would be the first trick-or-treater out there because that's when usually the first person always got massive candy bars. And I would bring, a pillowcase. A pillowcase. Okay. And I make one round, and then I take another pillowcase, make another round. And I should have gone into candy sales after that. Because it's like, I think about like career right here. You would have all this free supply, and then you just got to market it the rest of the year. Anyway, I wasn't that ingenious. But anyway, I loved it.
We participate in Halloween.
Yes, so we do that as well. Although there's this one house that freaked out my kids, so we kind of avoid that one. But other than that, for the most part, we're meeting the neighbors, enjoying kind of the community, being outside, and tell them, like everyone knows I'm a pastor, so it makes it simple just to have. Inevitably, people talk about God when they're around me, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah.
How do you ever get to a place where you get to bring up your faith and wealth? Like, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a wealth management guy, or what do you say? Like, how do you put that?
Well, I just launched a month ago. Yeah. So I haven't been able to.
Yeah. So you're not able to really go like, well,
yeah.
Now this is your time for Halloween. You're going to be like, hey.
Yeah. I don't think I'll be able to tie in my faith-based wealth management firm with trick-or-treating.
You never know.
As a sales pitch, but maybe I can work it in somehow.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's the challenge always is like, how do you get to spiritual things in any realm? And it's kind of, with me as a pastor, usually the people I talk to are Christians. And so I kind of have to go out of my way to kind of hang out with people who are far from God. That usually happens with the rec league stuff that we do.
Yeah, totally. That did happen at my previous firm where, and again, it wasn't Christian, not saying that disparagingly. Right. It wasn't.
It just was normal.
Right, it was just normal. And you get to know clients and you're dealing with their money, and that's a really personal, emotional thing.
Did they ever go like, what would you do? That kind of question?
Faith-wise or money-wise?
Did they ever say something like, hey, if this was your money, what would you do?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
And then you would say, well, I give some to the church or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the faith stuff would come up. Like, I can't remember if I told this story on the last podcast. Maybe I did. But so I had one client that we were going over their will.
Yeah.
And, the standard like question is like, do you want any songs played at your funeral or anything like that? And like, we had like Amazing Grace as like one of the options. And, and she was like, I'm not going to play effing Amazing Grace at I hate that. And so I didn't address it. I mean, I didn't talk about my faith.
You didn't go like, well, actually, that's the best song ever.
Yeah. But in future meetings, she would say antagonistic stuff. And we had a really good relationship. Like they trusted me a lot. And so finally I was like, hey, I'm a Christian, right? And she was like, yeah, I kind of thought. And it opened up all sorts of conversations of like.
So do you think she was like saying those to kind of get you to say something?
No, I think she had a bad experience. Like that's what it boiled down to is like.
And so it just was in her heart. So it just came out without her thinking.
She was hard-hearted because of a bad experience. And she opened up to all that and was able to share the gospel with her. And she broke down crying. And again, it's not a like she lived happily ever after.
Right.
She accepted the gospel and now she's in church. And
but it was emotional.
Totally. And so yeah, it opens up doors. It's not every, conversation leads to that, but again, it kind of naturally.
It's wild how I think most people would love to talk about spiritual things if someone opened the door for that.
Yeah, totally. She brought up like she had a dream one time that I can't remember if it was like her sister passed away. Somebody like came to her in a dream and like, I mean, I doubt she's told that to many people.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's when she kind of started crying and so she opened up about all kinds of stuff that like just through a couple questions and like through that relationship, right? She trusted me, her and her husband trusted me enough to just kind of talk about that.
That's all, man, that's incredible.
Yeah. So I will miss, my firm now is faith-based.
Right.
And so I won't have as many of those opportunities, but it's at the same time, it's not like I'm going to turn away.
Right. And I bet your clients are going to go, because people generally, word of mouth, right?
Yeah.
They're going to go, hey, listen, here's a guy I trust. He's Christian. He won't mess with your money. He's awesome.
Yeah, totally.
And so I feel like you might get that even from a person that might not be a believer might recommend to a non-believer and go, totally, let's give it a shot.
On the other side of it, though, it has helped just again in the last month that I've launched. Being overtly Christian does open up more conversations with clients that I have that like we'll start off in prayer, we'll start off with scripture, and it just opens up.
That's
and so
awesome.
they're just more free.
Yeah.
There's a space to talk about
way
that
to go.
now. And so, so I have found, like, similar to what you're saying with, like, you're a pastor, so therefore people naturally just kind of talk. Like, this is a Christian firm.
Yeah.
And so naturally it's going to lead to those conversations more than, like, I think you're Christian. You might be, like, so yeah.
All right, I'm now going to switch again. Right. So we're going back to the economy. Like, everyone is always like, it's good right now, but it might not be. I mean, government shut down.
Yeah.
What does that affect?
Well, it sucks for, we've got a person in our small group that is like, hasn't worked in 3 weeks because of it. Like, economic wise, it hasn't really impacted.
I was sort of surprised. Like, I noticed the stock market's been fairly...
Yeah, it's just gone up.
Yeah.
Ever since the tariff stuff stopped in April.
Right.
Like, it's just gone straight up. And so that's what has people worried now, is that it's gone up.
It's too fast.
Too fast.
Right. So what is the...
AI is what's driving it.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's all...
AI is everything.
It's NVIDIA.
Yeah.
It's, I guess, Nokia yesterday just signed a big deal with them.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, man. $1 billion from NVIDIA to Nokia.
Yeah. NVIDIA just became the first company today to cross $5 trillion.
Wow. And I think there's 4 companies, Apple included, like Apple just hit $4 trillion. I mean, the amount of, now, is that inflation or is that just the amount of money? I mean, this is the part, like, I know that there's not a finite amount of money in the world.
Companies have been as profitable as these companies, not even close.
It's crazy.
So, like, for example, I was just seeing this before I came here. NVIDIA's profit margin is at 60% or was at 60%. I don't know what it is today. Walmart is like 3%. And so,
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah. And so it's just like the amount of money that they're making right now is literally unheard of.
So this is the part that I think getting your head, this might be economic theory way beyond the scope of the show, but if you can maybe simplify it for those people who are sort of interested but don't have any capacity to really understand it. How is more money being able to make, and can't be just due to inflation, is it all these poor countries now have zero money and now all NVIDIA has the most money? Because that's not the way it works, right?
No, it's value creation. Like, that's the fundamental, like, principle of capitalism, right? Is that there's not a fixed pie that then just gets divided up. And so therefore, if someone has more, that means someone else has less.
Right. I think that's a struggle for a lot of people that they don't wrap their head around. When they see $5 trillion, they're thinking there must be a lot of starving people now.
It must have come from me somewhere. Right. So, or somewhere else.
Like, what's good for you is bad for me.
Yeah.
And if anything's good for me, then it must be bad for you.
Personally, like, I'm sure there's some theological issues with capitalism and a biblical worldview. Like, certainly there are, but I feel like that's a biblical worldview that, like, there's not a fixed pie. That, like, it's actually God's created this world to, like, there's not a fixed amount of value that you can create. Like, it's kind of a neat feature.
It's wild
of the world that God's created.
And that's why, like, we need great entrepreneurs, great people, smart people who take crazy risks and then make a ton of money, because it actually lifts everybody up.
Yeah, it's nuts how an Elon Musk will, like, go manufacture a car manufacturer. There hasn't been a successful car manufacturer since 1920.
Aren't they, a lot of them subsidized by the government?
I mean, he kind of is.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they have not kind of. He is.
Elon Musk is subsidized by the government.
We had the electric car credit.
Yeah,
it was like $7,500. I don't remember what the amount was, and so that was certainly an incentive to buy an electric car. That went away. So like, recently it went away.
Yeah, I got a truck.
Yeah. Yeah. Yours isn't electric though, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's a gas guzzler. Okay, so all right, so you feel like, now this is the part where, as long as tariffs, like with Trump, I think did he just sign it, or he's in China right now? He's doing stuff with Asia.
Yeah.
And so, and I don't know if you can even prognosticate this, but you're in the financial world, so therefore an expert. So therefore, I'm going to ask you this question. So it seems like he's making deals that's going to put our country in at least a firm, solider. Although the tariff time was just insane with up and down, at least within markets. What do you feel like for the next year?
You can put it in. I don't think he knows.
I think he's
so, like, I think he rolls the dice. Like, well, if we were in Trump's head, and I'm like, I don't think he knows. Like, so for example, like in April, when the market was down almost 20% in April. And then April 9th, he backed off of the tariffs. Right. As an aside, interesting aside, so the bond market is what runs the world, the U.S. bond market particularly.
And when you say a bond, like, is that like buying a bond of a city or the nation?
No, it's the U.S. issues a bond that's your...
So China,
they're borrowing money
from us. Yep. And then we owe money now.
Yep. Totally. And so that runs the world. And what happened in April was the bond market started to show signs of stress. And so bonds are supposed to go up when stocks go down because they're like a safety asset, right? Well, bonds started to go down. And so remember James Carville? So Bill Clinton's, I don't know if he was his chief of staff.
I mean, he's still like a contributor now, like older. Like,
so he has a famous saying, this was actually in the early 90s. He said that, I used to believe, if I was reincarnated, I would want to, come back as the Pope or a 400 baseball hitter. But now I want to come back as the bond market because you can intimidate anybody. And so that's literally what happened. In April, on April 8th, the bond market started showing signs of stress. Scott Bessent kind of got in Trump's ear. And that's when he reversed course on April 9th. And the market went up 10% in one day.
Wow.
And so, again, another aside, if you're trying to time the market, like you literally could have just gone to the bathroom and like missed out on the 10%. Like you got out on April 8th and oh shoot, like I had a long lunch and I missed out on 10%, of the recovery.
I did have someone tell me around the April 7th, 8th, to get out, the whole thing's going to crash. I was like, I'm going to hold the line.
Yeah, totally. So all that to say, I don't think Trump, I mean, he's obviously got some type of plan, but I don't think he knows what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Given, whatever day it is. And so I don't know what he's trying to do.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you coming here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I know this seems like we just talked about nothing, but actually we just went like a whole hour went by. I didn't even realize it.
Nice.
And it's exciting to kind of hear your kind of the viewpoint that you have, the way that you kind of think about these things, and how the Lord is really using you to kind of say like God's doing something within even economic markets that we need to be aware of. And then to understand like everything is so fragile.
It really is.
And our hope can't be in no matter amount of
wealth.
It
always will be. Again, that's the like takeaway for me is like you're never going to be out of the woods.
Right.
Like until the day you die. Like there's going to be some level of trust in God and who he is. And like, that's the way it's designed it is you're never out of the woods.
Love it, man. Thanks, Jake. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you want to have any questions, we will talk finances whenever you want to bring the question. You can text it at 737-231-0605. I would love to hear from you. From our house to yours. Have an awesome week of worship.